You've been watering your tomatoes, feeding them, giving them all the sunlight they need, and yet something still feels off. The leaves look a little dull, the fruits aren't as full as you imagined, and you can't quite put your finger on why. Here's the thing though, it's probably not what you're doing. It's what you haven't done yet. And once you do it, your tomato plants will respond in a way that'll honestly surprise you. Welcome back to Earthly Gardening. I'm so glad you're here today. If you're new, welcome to the family. You picked a great video to start with. And if you've been here before, you already know we keep things real, practical, and easy on the wallet. No fancy products, no complicated methods, just things that actually work. Before we get into it, do me a quick favor and hit that subscribe button right now. We drop tips like these all the time and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Alright, let's get into it because your tomato plants have been waiting on you. Bury the stem deep when you plant. Most people plant their tomatoes the same way they'd plant anything else: dig a hole, drop it in, cover the roots, done. But tomatoes are not like anything else. They have this incredible ability to grow roots all along their buried stem, and that means the deeper you plant them, the stronger and more stable they become underground. So here's what you do. When you're transplanting your tomato seedling, remove the lower leaves, leaving just a few sets at the top, then bury the plant so that about 2/3 of the stem is underground. What happens next is fascinating. All those tiny hairs on the buried stem transform into roots, and suddenly your plant has a root system that's 2 or 3 times larger than what it started with. More roots means better water absorption, better nutrient uptake, and a plant that can handle heat and drought without falling apart on you. This one move right here sets the entire season up differently. You won't see the results above ground immediately, but trust the process because in a few weeks, that plant will be pushing out growth like something got into it. Give them a calcium source early. Here's something a lot of gardeners find out the hard way. You're cruising through summer, the tomatoes are coming in beautifully, and then you start noticing this dark sunken patch at the bottom of your fruits. That's blossom end rot, and it's one of the most discouraging things to deal with after putting in weeks of work. The cause is almost always a calcium deficiency, and the fix is simpler than most people think. Crushed eggshells worked into the soil around your plant give a slow, steady release of calcium right where the roots can reach it. If you don't have eggshells saved up, agricultural lime is another affordable option you can find at most garden centers without spending much at all. The key is doing this early, before the problem shows up, because by the time you see blossom end rot, the fruit that's already affected won't recover. Prevention is everything here. Start feeding the soil calcium now and your tomatoes will reward you with full, healthy fruits from top to bottom all season long. Stop watering from above. This one feels small but it changes everything. When you water your tomatoes from above, splashing water onto the leaves and stems, you're creating the perfect environment for fungal diseases. Conditions like early blight and septoria leaf spot love wet foliage, and once they take hold, you're playing defense for the rest of the season. Water at the base. Direct every drop straight to the soil, right at the root zone, and keep the leaves as dry as possible. A simple soaker hose or even just slowing down and aiming carefully with your watering can make a huge difference. And while we're talking about watering, consistency matters more than quantity. Tomatoes that go through cycles of too dry and then suddenly too wet end up with cracked fruits and all kinds of stress-related problems. Give them a deep, slow watering a few times a week rather than a little every day, and let the soil moisture stay as even as you can manage. Your plants will stay calmer, healthier, and far more productive because of it. Pinch out the suckers. If you've never heard of tomato suckers before, this is going to be one of those moments where everything clicks. Suckers are the little shoots that grow in the joint between the main stem and a branch, that small V-shaped gap. Left alone, they grow into full branches, and those branches grow more branches, and before long your plant is a huge leafy bush that's putting most of its energy into growing more plant instead of growing more tomatoes. Pinch them out while they're still small, before they get longer than your finger. All you need is your hand, no tools required for the small ones. Just grab it at the base and snap it off cleanly. For slightly larger ones, a clean pair of scissors or pruning shears works perfectly. Now, there's a nuance worth knowing here. If you're growing a determinate tomato variety, which is one that grows to a set size and produces all its fruit in a shorter window, you don't need to sucker as aggressively. But if you're growing indeterminate varieties, the kind that keep climbing and producing all season, regular suckering keeps the plant focused and your harvests coming in steadily rather than in one chaotic burst. Feed them the right thing at the right time. Tomatoes are hungry plants, but what they're hungry for changes depending on where they are in their growth. Early on, when they're establishing themselves and pushing out leaves and stems, they need nitrogen. Nitrogen is what drives leafy green growth, and it's what gets a young plant looking full and vigorous. But once your plant starts flowering, something needs to shift. Too much nitrogen at that stage actually pushes the plant to keep making leaves instead of setting fruit, and you end up with a beautiful green plant that barely produces. At the flowering and fruiting stage, scale back the nitrogen and start feeding with something higher in phosphorus and potassium. These are the nutrients that support root development, flowering, fruit set, and flavor. A simple balanced fertilizer like a 10-10-10 gets the job done early on, and then something like a tomato-specific fertilizer or even a homemade compost tea becomes your best friend once the flowers start opening. Banana peels soaked in water overnight and used to water the base of the plant is one of those old tricks that actually delivers a decent potassium boost without costing you anything extra. Mulch around the base and do it properly. Mulching might sound basic, but most gardeners either skip it or do it in a way that limits how effective it actually is. A good layer of mulch around your tomato plants does several things at once. It holds moisture in the soil so your watering goes further, it regulates soil temperature so roots aren't getting stressed by extreme heat, and it creates a barrier between the soil and the lower leaves which reduces the splashback that spreads disease. Use straw, wood chips, dried leaves, or even shredded newspaper if that's what you have available. Lay it down about 2 to 3 inches thick in a wide circle around the plant, and leave a small gap right at the base of the stem so moisture doesn't sit directly against it. One thing people often get wrong is piling mulch right up against the stem itself. That traps moisture in a spot where it shouldn't be and can lead to rot at the base of the plant. Keep it a couple of inches away from the stem and spread it out wide so it's covering the whole root zone, not just the area right next to the plant. Support them before they need it. This one is about thinking ahead instead of reacting. A lot of gardeners wait until their tomato plant is already leaning or flopping over before they put a stake in the ground, and by that point they're already dealing with broken branches and stressed stems. Get your support system in place early, ideally at the time of planting or shortly after. Whether you use a cage, a stake, or a simple string trellis, the goal is the same. You want the plant to grow into its support structure naturally rather than being forced back into it after the fact. For taller indeterminate varieties, a single sturdy stake driven deep into the ground and loosely tied to the main stem as it grows works beautifully. Use soft ties or strips of fabric so you're not cutting into the stem. Garden twine works well too, just loop it loosely enough that the stem has room to thicken as it grows. Getting this right early means your plant stays upright, gets better airflow, and you'll have a much easier time harvesting without wrestling with a plant that's collapsed under its own weight. Pay attention to what the leaves are telling you. Your tomato plant is always communicating, and the leaves are its loudest voice. Once you learn a few of the signals, you'll be able to catch problems early and fix them before they turn into something serious. Yellowing leaves at the bottom of the plant, when it happens gradually and moves upward, usually points to a nitrogen deficiency. Curling leaves on a hot afternoon are often just the plant conserving moisture and may not be a concern, but if the curling happens in the morning or on cool days, that's worth investigating. Purple tints on the undersides of leaves can indicate a phosphorus issue, often made worse by cool soil temperatures that slow nutrient absorption even when the nutrients are present. Dark spots with yellow rings, spots that look water-soaked, or a powdery coating on the surface of leaves are all signs of fungal or bacterial issues that need to be addressed quickly before they spread. If you want to catch a thumbs up and drop your tomato questions in the comments below, I genuinely read them and it helps me know what topics to cover next. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time because we talk about things like this every single week. Remove the lower leaves as the season moves on. As your plant grows taller and the canopy fills in, the leaves closest to the ground start losing their usefulness. They're shaded out by everything above them, so they're not contributing much to photosynthesis anymore. But they are sitting close to the soil where disease spores and moisture splash can reach them easily, which makes them a liability. Starting about a month into the season, begin removing the lowest set of leaves, the ones within about a foot of the ground. Do it gradually, a few at a time, rather than stripping the plant all at once. Use clean scissors or pruners so you're making a clean cut rather than tearing the tissue. This simple habit improves airflow around the base of the plant, reduces disease pressure significantly, and keeps the plant's energy directed upward toward the parts that are actively producing. It's one of those things that looks almost too simple to matter, but the difference it makes over a full growing season is genuinely noticeable. Use Epsom salt to wake up your plants. This is one of those tips that sounds like a gardening myth until you actually try it and see the results for yourself. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and magnesium plays a direct role in chlorophyll production, which is essentially what keeps your tomato plant green, strong, and able to convert sunlight into energy. Sulfur, the other component, supports the plant's overall health and helps with nutrient absorption. When a tomato plant is low on magnesium, you'll often notice the leaves turning yellow between the veins while the veins themselves stay green. It's a very specific pattern, and once you know what it looks like, you'll spot it immediately. The fix is simple and costs almost nothing. Dissolve 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt into a gallon of water and apply it directly to the soil around the base of the plant every 2 to 3 weeks during the growing season. You can also mix a slightly weaker solution and spray it directly onto the leaves in the early morning, giving the plant a chance to absorb it through the foliage before the sun gets too intense. Most gardeners who try this for the first time notice a visible improvement in the color and fullness of their plants within a week or two. It won't fix every problem, but as a low-cost addition to your regular routine, it earns its place in any tomato grower's toolkit. Let them breathe. The last thing your tomato plants are silently asking for is space. Tomatoes planted too close together compete for light, water, and nutrients, and the crowding creates stagnant humid air around the foliage, which is exactly the kind of environment fungal disease thrives in. If you're growing in the ground, give each plant at least 2 feet of space, ideally closer to 3 for the larger varieties. If you're in raised beds or containers, resist the temptation to squeeze in one more plant than the space comfortably allows. One healthy, well-spaced plant will almost always outperform 2 crowded, struggling ones. Good airflow through the plant is something you can also improve through pruning. As the season goes on and the plant gets dense, removing some of the inner branches that aren't getting much light creates natural ventilation. You're not hurting the plant by doing this, you're actually protecting it. Tomatoes that have room to breathe stay healthier longer, carry their fruit better, and give you a season that feels rewarding rather than like a constant battle. And at the end of the day, that's exactly what we're going for here at Earthly Gardening. If any of these tips clicked for you today, leave a comment and let me know which one you're trying first. Give this video a like if it helped, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what we've got coming up next. Your garden is worth it, and so is your time. See you in the next one.